go.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday night, the third Monday night of the month. And for those of you that are kind of just happen to like get some notification and you're like, oh, I'm going to click because like, what's going on? This is virtual training night, right? You've been doing virtual stuff for the last year and a half. And so as a result, why not take advantage and have some virtual training tonight? And we've got some great lineup of speakers tonight, and they are going to be talking about diversifying your business, not being that one-sided type of person, but really kind of trying to branch out. And I'm excited because I'm looking for ways to, everybody wants to add that bottom line. They want to help that get a little bit higher, and maybe even just kind of fill some gaps when your typical events might not be happening. So,
and I think as DJs, we've tried to do that forever by doing weddings in the summer, schools in the fall, and corporate in the winter. And I think we're going to hear kind of throughout the different presentations tonight is that level of diversification, while it worked for a number of years, wasn't the end of their diversifying of their income streams.
Absolutely. And you really kind of have to look at it because, there are times where you may want to be single-sided, when you're in the thick of weddings and it's going great because it's like every weekend, you've probably got like 12 of them. And so it's like, yeah, awesome. But then there's other times where you're like, I can really stop being bored right now and have some fun. And so being able to hear what these guys have, I'm excited for it for sure.
Yeah. We've got a great group that have, younger with Brandon, our feature tonight. He's one of the up and coming stars of our industry, for lack of a better way to describe it. A young man who's really been out there and doing a lot of different things. And then you got some of the guys who've been around for a little while, and they've been, is Jason? Can we say Jason Jani is an old guy in the industry?
Well, I'm just curious. As I'm looking at the lineup here, is he the oldest in the group?
I think he is. He might be. Jason. That's
probably not a knock towards Jason at all.
No.
Just interesting. When I looked at that list, I'm like, There's one that might be close.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Jeremy,
but yeah, you're talking a crew. I don't know. So yeah, it'll be kind of an interesting thing. So for those of you who are looking at the schedule, we're going to switch a couple of the videos around here. We're going to be starting with Jason, and we're going to go to Jeremy Breck, and then come back with Johnathan Simmons tonight. For those of you who DJ Woo Pig there from the Arkansas area, we'll be kind of mixing those up just a little bit on our schedule this evening. So excellent. We should just drop a quick little thing. The September, our tonight is on the 20th, third Monday. October is third Monday. November's third Monday, I believe. Yeah, November's third Monday. And in December, we go on the second Monday of the month because there's something that goes on at the end of December, and supposedly, I guess, family does things. You're supposed to be.
But that's not the third Monday, so who cares?
I know, but you gotta move things earlier because there's that you get into those times, and then there's Christmas concerts, and then there's a pageant, and I like to dress up as do the Nutcracker ballet myself. I reenacted. I used to do it with just sock puppets, but since I've been working out now, I can fit in my tutu once again.
That's an image I do not need.
You're
to see
welcome for that.
again.
Oh yeah.
Again.
Again. All right. We should get Jason up here. Kicking us off is Jason Rubio. He's going to be coming to us from Austin's Best DJs. Jason's been on a variety of different videos with us over the last couple of years. Another up-and-comer in the industry. So, Dan, I think if we're ready to go, let's get to him.
With that, here we go with Jason Rubio.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm glad to be here, kicking off your first DJNTV virtual education series. Not your first one, but I'm the first speaker of the night. And my name is Jason Alexander Rubio, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself here in a minute. Kicking it off tonight, excited to be here. Thanks to John Young and the DJNTV team for having me. This is, I think, my second or third time doing one of these for DJNTV Disc Jockey News. We've got myself starting it off and followed up by Johnathan Simmons, Jeremy Breck, Jason Jani, and Brandon Havrilla, I think is his last name there. And thanks so much to our sponsors for making tonight possible. DJ Event Planner, thank you. Electro Voice, Max Photo Booth Designs, DJ Trivia, ProX Direct, NLFX Pro, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, and of course, JMAS Lighting. Thank you all so much for making tonight happen. Great products. I've used just about all of them. Pretty awesome products. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about me before we get started. So, who I am, what qualifies me to be here, right? You're wondering, like, who is this guy and why should I listen to him? First and foremost, my education background. I graduated from Texas State University here in the Austin, Texas area. It's actually in San Marcos, about 30 miles south of Austin. There's my hat there. I have an undergraduate and graduate degree, so bachelor's and master's in education. Also went to school and graduated from the University of Texas, RGV, got a master's in public affairs. So I have 2 master's degrees. Probably not a whole lot of people in our industry that have master's degrees. And I think overall, it's like 13% of the population that has a master's degree in the US, I believe. Do you need a master's to do any of what we're doing? Absolutely not. But definitely has helped me along the way in many, many different ways. And I'll talk about some of that as well. Also a longtime DJ. I've been DJing for many, many years. Since I was a kid, age 13 is when I started. My brother and I, we started learning on a stereo. Really, we had a turntable, and we would try to mix from tape to turntable. But eventually, we saved up some money. I got some DJ equipment. My brother had his DJ equipment, and we learned from there. Right, learned on vinyl. That was the only way to learn back then. I think CDs were just coming out. This is the early 90s. And, vinyl was just a preference. It was amazing. Right. And I learned how to mix and scratch and do all those different things, and have done it ever since in some way, shape, or form. Right. Back then before I could even work, I was doing events and actually holding my own events. It was weird that, looking back, I'm like, man, the school district let me rent out a school cafeteria or gym. I was like 14 doing this, and the liability they took by having me do this is just crazy. I was like, man, I don't know that I would rent to a 14-year-old today. But anyway, so I've done that, right? I've been bars, clubs, radio, had my own radio show for a couple of years, did concerts and promotions, did my own concerts, loved that a lot. Haven't done it in a while, but I plan to bring some stuff back. Done some festivals, hired and even done my own festivals. Ran a bar and club for a few years as well. And currently I am the owner and founder of Austin's Best DJs and Photo Booths. My wife, Diana, and I founded that. It's going on 10 years next year. So it's hard to believe, wow, time flies. She's not doing much with it anymore. She has her own business. She's doing really well. She's a therapist. So it's mainly just me kind of behind the scenes here. And I still do events when I can. Also do radio DJ drops. That's one of my other businesses, radiodjdrops.com. Make radio drops for DJs, our DJ drops, DJ samples. We do a lot of radio commercials in English and in Spanish. A lot of my market actually has wanted Spanish radio commercials and radio spots and things like that. It's been great. I also just started Quinceañera Expos, and that's in the works right now. And Rent Letters Now. It's a kind of a forced branch of Austin's Best DJs. We did so well with something we were doing that I had to create a whole new business and a whole new site just to try to kind of really capitalize on what we were doing. And I'll talk about all of this tonight. And as you can see, I have a lot of experience, and I think that's probably why John asked me to do this, because we're friends on Facebook and he sees all the different things I've done or that I do. So when you talk about diversifying, I definitely can tell you about it, right? And so glad to be here and glad to be talking about it. I think it's really important to be able to diversify, especially now, right? In 2020, we were all hit. We lost a ton of events, a ton of money. It was insane. It was interesting, but we made a strong comeback this year, right? Was contacted by the New York Times back in July about doing a story about wedding DJs and the fact that there's kind of a shortage, at that point. Everybody was trying to plan events again. And I talked about how, the business was literally booming and it was crazy. Over the summer, we had the busiest summer we've ever had, and we've been doing this a long time. And it's been great, right? And so we were able to make up for all of the losses in 2020 to now. It's amazing. And so here we are now. All right. Other things about me, I've been featured in the New York Times, like I mentioned, also in Brides magazine, or Brides, the website, a couple of times. Wrote for Mobile Beat, did a couple of articles for DJNTV or Disc Jockey News. Did, I think, 2 articles for DJ Times, the Wedding Planner magazine, Rent My Wedding. I did their DJ Insider for about the first year that they had it. I did all of the columns and the advice in there. So I've been around doing a lot of this, and here I am today. All right. So let's move on to the content here. So again, tonight we're talking about diversifying your DJ business. me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. So you're not just looking at me the whole time. I want you to see the content as well. All right. So I'm going to share that. Here we go. All right. So again, tonight, diversifying your DJ business. Are you a full-time, part-time, or hobbyist DJ, right? That's thing number one to think about. If you're a full-time DJ or a part-time DJ, diversifying your business is definitely possible. If you're a hobbyist, you can sure start offering other things, but I mean, if you don't even have the time to do just DJing, right, you might want to think about, well, do I really want to diversify if I don't even have time to DJ? But maybe you do. Maybe you want to get into something else. Either way, all three of those, yes, you can diversify your business. Again, it just depends on how much time do you have to invest in doing something new. Number two, things to think about are, what are the current trends in your area? Think about trends, what you can do to get ahead of those trends or get within those trends, right? That's a lot of what I do. Think about going on Google Trends, go on there and look at wedding related things, right? What are people looking for? What's the trend? What are you seeing in other markets? Things like that. I will find out what people are wanting, right? And so I do that with Google Trends. Also do that with just looking up all things wedding related, right? I also learned a little bit of SEO. And so I'm able to kind of get some keywords and figure out how many people a month are searching for this wedding term or that term. And that also informs me of a lot of my decisions. Also, you could join local wedding groups, right? Facebook groups are great. I'm a member of the Austin Wedding Group, and I think there's a couple of others. And I just listen. I don't sell my services in there, and you shouldn't either, right? Just be helpful. Listen to what people are asking. What questions are they asking? What problems are they facing? What things are they wanting, right? This is a good way to figure out what the community wants, what the wedding community wants, or what your whatever community you serve, what they want, right? And you can see, man, a lot of people are looking for these, I don't know, these backdrops. Maybe I should start offering those. Or everybody wants this new photo booth. Maybe I should start offering that, right? So really take advantage of those groups. They're free. Lots of great resources in there. And you can see what problems people are facing and how you can solve them. All right. Also, number three, one of the most important things I'm going to talk about tonight is, what are some niches you can get into, right? Think about a niche and what you can do to get into it. That's going to really, really be much better than trying to be all things to everyone, right? Sure, you can be a DJ that does weddings and sweet 15s, quinceañeras, sweet 16s, school dances, bar mitzvahs, all of these things. You can do them all, might be able to do them all really well, right? But choose one to specialize in, choose a niche, and I'm telling you, things will be so much easier if you do. And I'll talk about why. Let's move on to the next one here. So ideas for diversifying. I talked about some of these photo booths, right? That seems to be the most natural one that people are starting to do now. DJs are adding photo booths to their lineup, and it's a smart move, right? You can do your traditional photo booth, your selfie stand. The mirror photo booth was gaining popularity about a year ago, 2 years ago. People still want it, but I don't feel like it's as booked as the regular photo booths. 360 booth is now out, right? And that seems to be pretty cool. That's something we haven't invested in, and there hasn't been a demand for it in our area. So, you know, unless there's a demand for it, I'm not going to worry about it. And that's something to think about too. Do you want to jump on all these trends if there's no demand, right? If clients are asking you constantly, hey, you know, do you have this 360 booth? Then you're like, okay, I've gotten 10 inquiries this month and they all wanted a 360 booth. It's time at that point, right? But if they're not asking, do you really need it? All right, so next one, another idea for diversifying. If you're a solo DJ, more DJs, right? You can add more DJs to your team, and that's going to help you do more events in one day, and that's going to help you make more money, which is the goal, right? That's the name of the game. You can become a team of DJs. That's what we do at Austin's Best DJs. Or a multi-op business, like having your business in different cities. I know Joe Bunn does that really well, right? And actually, I'll be on his podcast in a couple of days, actually, tomorrow, matter of fact. I'll be on there talking to Joe about some events and stuff. But yeah, you can do a multi-op and be in different cities or different states. We are in different cities, but not different states at this point. And I'm not sure if I want to do that venture yet. Lighting's another one that you can do. You can do lighting such as uplights or the monogram lights, or, you know, figure out a way to be the best in lighting, right? And you can get booked just for lighting. Games you can rent out, especially in the cooler seasons, right? When it's not so hot. Right here in Central Texas, the fall is perfect, and summer as well. People rent the games out. We do like cornhole and Connect Four, the giant Connect Four, giant Jenga. All those types of games do really well. Streaming is another one. That's not something we do currently, but I have some colleagues that do. I know that some other people that do, and they do well. Again, because a niche, right? Not everybody is doing streaming. And so if you can be one of the few that do, you can be booked more and charge better rates, right? And get higher rates for it. Anything in the wedding or event related business that others offer, you could too, right? Just because someone else does it doesn't mean you can't, right? That's a lot of something I've seen from people that's like, oh, I don't want to do that because so-and-so is doing that. Well, why not? Right? There can be more than one business. Think about pizza businesses, right? For example, there's Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's and, hundreds of others probably. There's a lot, right? And they all offer pizza, but they each have their own way of doing it. They have their own unique vantage point, unique selling proposition, and that's what you need to do. If somebody else is offering a photo booth, why is yours different, right? What's the difference between yours and everyone else out there, right? And so make sure that if you're going to offer some of these products, make sure that you stand out among the competition, right? And let's talk about it a little bit more. Again, why choose a niche? It's less competitive. You're not going to have as many competitors competing against you. So just for example, in the DJ business here in the Austin area, the Central Texas area, there are easily 250 to 300 DJ companies in this area. And then when you count the solo DJs, that maybe they're on Facebook, they don't have a website, but they also DJ. And there's always somebody that knows somebody who's a DJ, right? And so there's thousands of DJs in the area. And so if you want to charge your premium price and someone doesn't see a difference between you and the guy on Facebook, they're going to choose the lower price person every time. That's why you've got to stand out. That's why you've got to show people what's different about you, right? Why do they hire you? Why do they pay your premium rates versus hiring this guy? And so remember that, find that niche, perfect it, get good at that niche, and be the authority in that niche, right? Be the one people think about when they need that particular item that you offer, whatever that may be. Maybe it's weddings and you do a certain type of weddings, like Indian weddings, or maybe you do Latino weddings or something like that, right? Where it's like, this is the guy for you. This is the perfect team for you. They do all the time. They do these weddings. They're great. Be that person, right? Because again, competition becomes smaller, and that's what you want. You don't want to be competing against thousands of other people. You want to compete against a handful, right? And that's how you win. Basically, if you can find a niche, you can charge just about any price you want to, right? So we do certain things here, and like for instance, with the marquee letters that we do, we're one of very few companies that provide them, and we charge much more than our competitors because we have a great product, and we know that we've perfected our product. And people like it and they're going to pay for it. And, and if they don't, that's okay. We stay really, really busy with those letter rentals. And many times more than even some of the DJ gigs that we do. A couple of weeks ago, we had 2 weddings, I believe, and a school event, and like 7 marquee letter rentals all in one weekend. And it was the first time that we had more rentals than DJs, but we profited more from those rentals because I don't have to pay as much. Right? Because you basically invest in the product, find someone to deliver and set up and pick up, and you're done, right? You don't have to be there all night. It's very different, right? So that's something you can think about. And again, people charge whatever they want for whatever it is they offer because they know there's less competition. Moving on to pros and cons of diversifying. Yes, there are pros and yes, there are cons. Pros are more money, right? Of course, you're going to make more money because you offer more things. And that's another revenue stream for you. So if you now move to photo booths, hey, you're going to have more income coming in. You can hire some staff. And the good thing is you're providing the equipment, right? So you're providing the photo booth. You just need a staff to set it up, run it, and break it down. You can pay them a lot differently than you would pay maybe a DJ who has to have his or her own equipment. There's a high return on investment for a lot of these other things that you're doing, like I mentioned just now with the photo booth. It's less competitive. And again, that really, really matters. And again, your profits can soar. We have gone every year from the time we started Austin's Best DJs, was just me actually. And I call it DJs back then because I knew I had a vision that we were going to grow. And it was me, and we've raised our prices every single year since then. And we continue to, even just this year alone in 2021, things were barely coming back in January. I was like, man, I got to raise my prices. Why? Because people are booking instantly without even asking. So, that's a clue right there. If you email a client back and, you tell them all the things and you talk about everything and you finally give them a quote and they say, okay, no problem, let's book. You've got to wonder, like, Why was it that easy, right? Either you were doing really well as a brand awareness and you're a great brand and they want to book you, or maybe your price too low. I chose the latter and said, I'm going to raise my prices, right? Because I want to see what happens. And I've raised my prices 3 times since then. It's just now September. That's crazy, but that's what we're doing because again, you're meeting the market where it is, right? So when you think about supply and demand, I mentioned I was a longtime teacher, taught for since 2008 to this year, actually. One of my certifications was in business and finance. And we talk about supply and demand, right? Supply versus demand, there's a little X there. They meet in the middle, right? And that's what a client is willing to pay or what the market is willing to pay. And so there's a supply of DJs out there and there's a lot of them and there's a demand, right? And the demand determines the price for just about everybody. Sure, there are some of those exceptions where they can command this premium price and get it, but they've built their brand. They've built everything up to where people are willing to pay, right? And again, you're selling people on, hey, here's why you need to book us. Here's what makes us different. If you can do that well, you can get the price you want. But going back to supply and demand, if you choose a smaller niche, there's going to be less supply, right? And if the demand's up there, the supply's here, the demand's here, you slowly raise up your price until they meet in the middle. And that's how it works, right? Supply and demand basically determines pricing on everything in the wedding industry, in the events industry, and pretty much everything. That's how it works. All right. There are some cons to diversifying. What are some cons? Hiring enough staff. That's challenging. I'm currently looking for more staff. I always seem to be looking for staff because the demand is there. It's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem nonetheless. And I can only do so much, right? It's hard. I have to end up turning down events. I've turned down probably 5 events just this morning, right? Because we just don't have the staff. And so that again shows you if you find a good niche and you can create that whole brand awareness and brand authority, people are going to look to you and they're going to want you. And it's a good thing. I'd much rather turn people down than not have enough business and not have enough work for our staff. All right. So again, hiring staff can be a con. The demand can be really high, like I just mentioned. Figuring out logistics, the more staff you have, the more things there are to think about and work with and schedules to plan and all the different things that come along with planning the event. There was a time where we were doing 10 events in a day, right? And that was way too much. And I've scaled down since then. I raised my prices higher so that we have less bookings. Again, supply and demand, right? So the higher we charge, the less people that book, and that's a good thing. I'd rather book a couple of events and get more money and more profit than a lot of events and get the same, right? And so that's something to think about. Managing more staff is hard and managing all the clients is tough too. So that is definitely a con as well. All right. So overall, if you learn nothing else from me, learn to find a specific niche, right? Find a niche that you can serve, whatever that may be. If you can find that niche, do it the best you can, market it well, right? Because again, I've done a presentation on marketing, I believe with the American Disc Jockey Association, and you can be the best DJ or have the best product, whatever that may be. But if your marketing isn't well, nobody's going to know about you and you're not going to be booked, right? So marketing is super, super important. It is as important as your DJ skills or as your whatever it is you offer, right? So make sure you're marketing well. That way people know about you, right? And you can get that price. Average consumer has to come into contact with your brand, with your business name at least 7 times before they finally make a decision to even contact you, right? And so make sure you're marketing really well, whatever that niche is or whatever it is you do. Market, right? So if you have any questions about, choosing a niche, I'm happy to help. You can contact me. You can visit our website, Austin's Best DJs. You can just Google it. We come up, DJ Austin, we come up and click on the site and send us a contact form and say, hey, I saw your DJNTV training. Would love some help and love to talk to you about things. Happy to help. All right. I do consulting as well. So I'm happy to help you and grow your business as well. Also, radio DJ drops, you can contact me there if you need a drop or a radio commercial or whatever it is you might need. Contact me there as well. All right. So I hope you guys learned something today. Thanks so much to John and the DJNTV team for having me today. It's been a pleasure, and stay tuned for our next presenter. It's going to be a great night tonight. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. That was rock solid information. The whole piece was good, but that very end part, marketing, no marketing, means no business. And I think for a lot of people, they tend to overlook that idea just because you're like, oh, things are going great. Yeah, it's still the perfect time to market.
And that's what's kind of cool about Jason is he's diversified. I'm going to keep with that word. You know what I'm saying? He has spent the time. He came out of a teaching world, which you and I he actually went, and now he's full-time in the DJ, but he studied marketing, he studied SEO and putting these things together, which a lot of us have done also. It's just back when I did it, we were writing on stones with chalk and putting it up on the coal.
Tick, tick, tick,
Yeah.
tick, 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 tick.
You know, my first record player was that little bird that came down and then, yeah, it was great. Okay, so we're going to have Jeremy Breck coming up next. Jeremy Breck is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you have not heard of Mr. Breck and his DJ Jer company, he's been with us and he's done shows on DJNTV, and he's written when we had the print publication. So he's been with us for an awful long time. He's spoken at numerous DJ conventions that we've hosted over the years. So gosh, that makes him old.
Maybe he is the oldest.
He could be. Oh, it's got to be close. Jason might have him just about a little bit, but yeah, that would be. But both of them look fabulous. They look way younger than.
They look younger than everybody else, other than Brandon. But that's just because Brandon looks young.
And Brandon kind of is a younger man. So. So earlier tonight, before we started with our live show here, we had our exhibit space. This time we did a little bit differently. Instead of having different Zoom rooms for each of our sponsors, we only are going to feature two at a time. So there were two tonight. There will be two in October and two in November. Tonight we had let's see. First off, we had NLFX Pro. If you jumped in there during the DJNTV.com/chill during that time frame at 7 o'clock Eastern, you got to see Michelle. Michelle is a new member on the NLFX team. And Michelle was talking about some gear, and we'll get to the products that they were talking about. Then after that, you guys got to see Fletcher in there. And those sessions should be recorded, and we're going to put those up tomorrow. Now, why that's kind of cool is that the NLFX crew have some of the products Michelle talked about tonight are in stock, and they're putting them on sale. So what do we got on that list? I clicked over. I've got to find it. I can't.
You want me to go down through all of them?
Yeah, just go right
Okay.
down.
So the first one you have here, Intimidator Spot 260 package, including two Intimidator Spot 260 moving heads and the carrying case. There was, so that's obviously Chevet. Another Chevet product, the DeFi XLR. So remember, they had the DeFi USB sticks. These are the DeFi XLR. So you're going to plug any of them that have like the XLR type of connection for your device, for your lights. So it's one transmitter, three receivers, and the base. There's the Evolve 50s in black. There is the Party Bar Go from Color Key. And then the NLFX GAF and the mother of all tester, the Moat.
The Moat. So the 260, Chevy Intimidator 260, I had the 255. Those came out, and then the 250 replaced those, or 260 replaced those. The 255s I absolutely love. And then the 60s just were improving on that. And that was actually, when they came out with those, I was like, oh, I've got 8 of the 255s. But the 260s were just a little bit sweeter in the movements and things. And yeah, that was a really tempting moment. It's like, especially when I literally had just bought the last two to make the full set of 8. And then they came out with those. And like, oh, should I? Shouldn't I? Should I?
Well, John, they're on sale.
They are on sale.
And they're in stock.
And they're in
like before you even told me on sale part, you told me they're in stock and my jaw dropped. Like, I mean, right now you try and find product and it's crazy, but yeah, so they're in stock. So, you could pick up 8 more. Now, I don't know how many they have in stock, but hopefully 8.
Because when you have 8 of them and you use those as uplights behind you on a like a gym wall for a prom, oh my gosh, that's so cool. You can do some really neat things with those. On that list, there's something that surprises me on that list.
Yeah.
Take a guess. Which one?
The Moat.
No, actually, that one doesn't.
Oh, okay.
It was actually
no, I know. I'm just messing with you. But the Party Bar Go, I'm assuming that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, that one's, just hearing the name, it's like, okay, whatever, didn't, but when we started looking at it a little bit more, that's really kind of a cool little light fixture there.
Yeah. So for those of you that didn't check it out, and if, first off, you just type in Party Bar Go, it doesn't work too much. You got to type in color key and then Party Bar Go, because otherwise you get like weird other stuff.
Yeah, weird other stuff, and we don't want to have to explain that to your significant other.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. But no. So first off, this is the Go part. This is a battery powered light. So right there, rocking on, because the fact that you don't have to deal with like the power cords and everything else, and you could have a nice little light show with it. So it's nice from that standpoint, but it's got two derbies, it's got some wash lights, and it's got some strobe built into it as well. DMXable. So, you could actually, I don't think they promoted this, but this is the idea. You take advantage of two of their sales.
Yes, that's what I was just going
to say. D-Fi XLR, and you get the Party Bar Go, and you can put this light wherever the heck you want. Who cares if it's in the middle? Well, you don't want the middle of the floor because it's a tripod, but wherever powered is, it doesn't matter. So you set this up, and you're rocking a party DMX style. So you're controlling it, and you have all the controls that you need.
Yeah, that combination was like, ooh, this is really kind of cool. Yeah. Light show, you could put one in each corner, and you wouldn't have to run any wires whatsoever. Oh, just for my little Bluetooth lights, the ones I've got the little Shobe Bluetooth controlled ones, and you just get spoiled after a while because you can just take it over. Oh, there's an outlet way over there. Sure, I'll plug something in over there, and I'll control it from over here. Yay! Yeah. I've got myself.
Or from the standpoint of, oh, they put the dance floor here and they put me over there. Okay. Right, like there, DMX. Oh, the power's back there, and I need. Who cares?
We got this. We're all over this.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So let's get Jeremy Breck up next. For those of you looking at the schedule, we kind of switched and moved Jeremy Breck and Johnathan, switching their spots tonight, and hopefully everything will be working out as we go along. So. We're about 5 minutes behind. We should be pretty good. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get to Mr. Breck from Sioux Falls.
Hey, what is up, DJNTV and Disc Jockey News and all of the other disc jockey networks that John Young has put together? I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. And, the biggest thing, all I can say is congrats to everybody who has made it through a crazy year, who's going through a crazy time right now. Again, there's a lot of things that have really progressed and deprogressed in our industry, and those who are still striving and working hard, I applaud you, because it's not an easy process. Some have it harder than others, and we've been blessed in our market to be able to do what we do and do what we love. But tonight we're going to talk about, basically other projects or side projects, things that kind of kept our idle hands busy. And I'm one of those who I've got to stay busy all the time. And last year, when things were like, well, we're going to postpone this, postpone that, I started thinking to myself, like, okay, well, how am I So as you can see, it still gave us an opportunity to entertain. It still gave us an opportunity to use our talents, our equipment, everything that we had, and everything that we've already been doing. We were able to find a way to utilize that, and again, also do some community outreach. You saw that we worked with the fire department, the police department, not just building those relationships, but just showing the respect that they deserve, as well as just showing the community that these guys care, these women care about our community, and they were super great to work with. The mayor came out and he partied with us this summer. Really got into it, just led some dances. We had a video where we had the police officers and fire department doing the YMCA, and it went on. I don't know if it was on Twitter or if it was on I think it was Facebook, someone's Facebook account, and it just went crazy. Like all the views that it got was just out of control. So it was fun to see like people reacting and interacting to what we were creating. So again, when it comes down to thinking outside the box, I mean, think about the things that you have and the talents that you already have and utilize those into other opportunities. If you're great on a microphone, game show could be your thing. If you're great mixing music, it might be a hydrant party. The other thing too is, like I said, the books that we put out, we put those out to really help businesses and, connect people with those businesses and those things that people, again, we forget about sometimes. We have some jewels in our own city and we don't take advantage of them because we're just used to being here. We don't think about, I should really try a different restaurant tonight. So those were the different opportunities that we kind of came up with on, kind of our pivots. And, obviously the virtual events, yes, we've been very successful with virtual and hybrid, but that's something that we've been doing for 5 years already. So it wasn't anything new for us. It was just basically refining the details of what we were creating with that. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you guys out. Thrilled to be here. John, thanks again. You can reach me at jeremy@djjer.com or find me on Facebook. You can also check out my YouTube channel. Shop Time, DJJR Shop Time. Go check that out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a great season and hang in there. Trust me, we're all doing our job. And just keep working hard. See ya.
Once again, that was Jeremy Breck from Sioux Falls, North Dakota.
South Dakota.
They're
so close.
Those Midwest states, they all kind of run together.
Yeah, they're all like right in the same area, And we go across.
I didn't know my north from my south very well.
No, those are confusing. South and north and east, west, and.
We've got roads around us that goes this way, goes like this way too much.
Yeah, it's just confusing. Don't do this.
But I hope you guys are taking notes tonight. I really do, because there has been some just straight up gold that we've been hearing from both of our first two presenters. Like if you've ever seen the stuff he's done at the expos alone, let alone some of the stuff that he was showing, I get it. It's it means you're investing in a large portion. So don't try to be Jeremy, but take the ideas here or there, but you don't necessarily need to be here from day one.
And that's when you look at what he's doing and what he's done with different videos that he's done. And even today, you're seeing that family event and there's LED screens. So they're outside, they're bouncing around outdoor, middle of the afternoon, and they're,
that $25,000 LED screen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's definitely a cool toy there. That's for sure. But
we're not telling you to go broke.
Yeah, to get himself to that point. So, oops, I want this that way. So, continuing on a little bit about the NLFX room. Now, how you said it had a code?
Yes. So in order to be eligible for the discounts, because obviously if you go onto the website, for those of you, for some reason, if you don't understand how marketing or how, manufacturing and prices works, there's a thing called MAP, minimum advertised price. So that's why if you go to NFLX or if you go to some other retailer, they're all going to show you the same price because they're not allowed to show you anything less. That doesn't mean they're not allowed to sell it for less. and oftentimes with the sales and different things like that, that's how they do that. So Howie sat through the presentation with the exhibit hall, and he found out that there is a code that you need to use in order to be eligible for these prices, and it is Katie Vacay. So KATIE VACAY. So again, Katie Vacay. And so if you put that in, you will see the discounted price. So you got to put that in kind of like in your shopping cart area. You're going to see the discounted price. But to my understanding, this only works for those items that were offered. So just a kind of a quick reminder, the Intimidator Spot 260 package, the DeFi XLR pack, the Evolve 50 in black, the Color Key Party to Go, the NFL gaff tape, and the moat.
And what was it, Katie?
So again, if you want the Katie Vacay, KATIE VACAY.
Okay, I just put it into the sent it out. It should be in the chats for, well, it's looking like it didn't go to one of the YouTube chats, but it should be in Twitch and Facebook.
It didn't go into the one that I'm in, but it's all right because Howie already put it in that one.
Excellent.
So, but yeah, so you'll see a discount on those prices, and if you're like, well, I'm going to use that code for the Evolve 50 in white, it's not going to work. It's only going to work for the ones that we mentioned. So the tech people were smart enough to see you coming with that issue,
because it's Katie Vacay.
And that's why Michelle,
yes, Michelle is
okay. Michelle was filling in because Katie's on vacay. So in case some of you were like a little worried, like, is Katie gone? Like, that was my first thought. It was like, Michelle, who's Michelle? Did she take over for somebody? Did she take over for Kat, Katie? What's going on? The answer is no. All right. We've got another person that you can go to, build that good relationship with at NLFX, and take advantage of some great deals. Oh, and Howie said one other thing. It's only for this week.
Yes, that was
this week only. So if you're, this is the 20th. So if you decide to check it out on the 28th, sorry.
Ooh, so you were so close, but yet not close enough.
We're trying to help you out.
I think we're ready.
We are.
Okay,
awesome. I feel like,
hang on. It's not Katie Vacay. It's Kat Vacay. Okay, let me.
So Howie was wrong. So sorry, everybody. So Kat
is on vacation. So
it's not kitty cat.
It's Kat. Yes, Kat Vacay. So Kat is on vacation. Katie is diligently hard at work somewhere, making the NLFX Pro company proud.
So Kat Vacay.
So yes, if you
K8 and it's Kat with a K.
Yes, Kat with a K. KATVACAY. That's what just came across here. So thank you for our little help out there, giving us the right one. So excellent. Again, you can take those the items we've talked about in the show. Go to the website nlfxpro.com, and you can enter the code at checkout and get those special show prices for this week. Okay, I think we're up to Johnathan. DJ Woopig coming to us tonight, talking a little bit about how he has done some of the diversifying of his DJ business.
What's going on, everybody? You know who it is, DJ Woopig. It feels so good to say that. I haven't said it in such a long time. I know a lot of you guys probably follow me on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, keeping up with my life. And, today's topic is very poignant, very top of mind, especially for me, because when talking about the pivot, I think all of us, a year ago, were trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do because all of our gigs just magically vanished, and I'm no different. Even down here in the South, we're a bunch of rednecks. I say that because I'm a redneck too. But the gigs, we didn't think they were going to stop, but they did. So my goal was to just try to stay afloat. What can I do with the assets I have to keep this train rolling? So a little bit of background about myself. I've been DJing about 12 years now. Started in college and started in the bar and nightclub scene. Didn't really have a passion for it. Moved over into the private event space, and I've had a love for it ever since. But my company also does large scale production, from small scale city festivals to large scale concerts, 10 to 15,000 people, all the way down to 150 people at your everyday wedding. And it's a lot to keep rolling. rolling. There's a lot of expense that comes along with a company of my size, and even smaller or larger. You've got some everyday expenses that just keep rolling. So when COVID happened, or let's say the turn of 2020 happened, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall, and my goal for myself was to ultimately survive. I knew that I wasn't going to thrive, but I wanted to be able to see my way through, navigate this path to see how I can get on the other side of 2020 and still be in business. Also, something that I was going through in my personal life was I had a baby on the way. So not only did I have COVID-19 killing my business, killing my industry, putting that sad, depressing emotion at the forefront, I also had a baby on the way, which was something, new time dad, first time father. It's something that's supposed to be the best time of your life, and seamlessly, it was a big clash of emotions there. They're right in the thick of it. But ultimately, again, my goal was to survive this pandemic and see my way through the other side of it. So, if you follow me on any of these social networks, outreaches, you know that I have an office space here in my hometown that houses all of my equipment. It has my office. It has what used to be a conference room. This is my safe haven. Goal number one, do not leave here. I love this place. I've renovated this place. I put a lot of time and sweat equity into this place. A little bit of blood, a lot of tears have all happened at this desk that I'm sitting at right now. The goal was, how can I make this office space something that's super sacred to me? How can I make it profitable in a way that I can still be here in 2021? And there's really never a good answer. But what I had some camera gear, and I had some microphones, and I had some pipe and drape, and I kind of had to get creative. So in the process of trying to figure out how I was going to keep this place alive, an idea sparked. I had a lot of time on my hands, and me and one of my DJs decided that we were going to start a podcast. I had a lot of time. I had the camera gear. I had the audio gear. I knew that I could make something that was very professional and presentable. And we started filming this podcast. And boy, was it just a relief for not only my DJ, but for myself. It was an outlet that I could come in, record something, be myself, let my hair down, the little hair that I have left. I don't have any hair left. But it was a safe haven for me. So something clicked. Instead of having this big open office space, conference room space that we're currently not meeting clients in just because of social distancing, and some people are afraid to come into an office, why not have a turnkey podcast setup? Where I can invite essentially anyone into my office between the hours of 8 to 5. I try to keep that, but it never really happens. But that's another way that I figured I could make some money out of this office space. When trying to come up with a price point, really, I was just kind of throwing darts at the wall. What would I pay to rent out a studio for an hour, or a practice room for an hour? So I did a little market research, and with my market in mind, I came up with the idea of, why not charge $250 an hour for you to come here? We've got professional recording equipment, we've got professional audio equipment, as well as lights, we've got internet, we've got computers, we've got essentially everything that you need right here. Also, there was a ton of other people that were either out of work or needed something to do with their free time. There was no concerts, there was no events, you couldn't go to the movies. There was a lot of people that started podcasts last year. There were a lot of DJs that started streaming online, as many of you guys have. So the idea of turning my former conference room into a turnkey kind of recording room worked out extremely well. Matter of fact, it worked out a little bit too well. It got a little overwhelming trying to keep up with not only my business side of things, but also keeping up with time blocks that we had here at the office, sanitizing the office, making sure it was clean and ready to go for the next customer. Ultimately, that turned into a way that I was able to afford my lease payment on this building. And it's 2021, and I'm still here. Now, little things have changed. The conference room, aka the recording studio, is no longer because I actually ended up hiring a couple people, and we've turned that conference room into their office space. So we're going to try to figure out a way, as the pandemic kind of slows down, figure out a way that we can turn some of our warehouse space into a turnkey kind of practice room for live musicians, live bands, because again, we also do production. So we've got concert grade sound equipment and monitors and microphones. We've got some backline here at the warehouse that essentially you bring yourselves. We've got the engineers, we've got the gear, and we can make something special. If you just want to practice, you can rent it out for practice. If you want to record something, we can rent it out for recording. Or if you want to do the combination of the two, maybe shoot your next EPK here, or maybe you're trying to shoot an album release or something, do something special. Ultimately, the goal was to figure out a way to make my office pay for itself. Let's turn this liability into an asset. And here, before too long, I'm probably going to outgrow this office, but make no mistake, the next building or location that I move to, it will have some sort of creative space that we can rent out at a fair price to musicians or podcasters or recording artists, whoever. We want to have a safe spot for these individuals to come where they don't have to provide any sound equipment, any video equipment. They just bring themselves. We've got everything, and a lot of you DJs probably have most of the things that I have. What I have isn't anything special, but a lot of you guys probably have the same thing. So if you are currently leasing out an office space, why not take a leap of faith, maybe a jump, and see if you can't figure out a way to make your office space, your safe haven, my safe haven, a place that not only is an expense, but it can also generate you some money. With that being said, we also started doing a lot more installations into houses of worship, office buildings, different locations around our area. Again, I'm not saying that this is something that you can necessarily go out and do because behind the scenes of an install, whether big or small, there's a lot of little things that can really go wrong if you don't know what you're doing. But with that being said, the installation market, the systems integration market is a great way to, kind of branch out and get into something different. For instance, we set up and tear down lights for concerts and events all over, the Midwest, the Southeast. Why not have something that we can permanently install and offer a solution to a problem for a client? Now, I will say, prior to COVID, this is something that we were doing, but we weren't doing it nearly as heavy. The one thing that you started to see as people started shifting things online more, you started to see a lot of churches move into the live stream market. So we were able to be a resource to a lot of different congregations around my area, a lot of different businesses around my area who wanted something a little bit better than what you could get over a Zoom call. And I know right when the pandemic started, a lot of you guys were trying to figure out ways of hopping online and DJing your sets, but finding a way to make your DJ sets sound good and look good. And essentially, you guys know how to do it. We know how to do it. You get a camera, you get a capture card, you get a good audio input, and you get a good upload and download speed on your internet. And essentially, you can do just about anything video conference-wise from a computer. Why not offer that as a solution to some businesses in your area that may have a need, or maybe some churches in your area that may have a need? And right now is the best time to do it. Now, there was a large influx of streaming gear and recording gear and lights and this and that. There was a huge influx of that into the market over the past year, but as you probably know, people are still trying to find solutions of getting themselves online. And a lot of you guys that have been DJing over the internet for the past year have become the expert in how to make a stream look and sound good. And it's not that hard, but you have to be the expert and you have to lead your client from point A to point B with a solution that not only fits their needs, but maybe fits their volunteers' needs and also fits within their budget. And there's a lot of good resources out there, a lot of people that you can reach out to if you don't have the experience or the capability to do so. There's a lot of great people in our market. Everybody knows Ben. Give Ben a call over at NLFX. He takes care of his clients, and he wants to make sure that your client is just as happy as you, the end customer, at the end of the day. So again, there's probably some licensing and some, maybe some low voltage certificates that you may have to obtain in your market or in your area to make something like this work, to make it feasible. Of course, you've got to have your finances in order if you're going to be buying and selling equipment. A sales tax and use license is probably something that you need in your state. A low voltage certificate again. But if there's a will, there's a way. And again, a lot of us have become the expert on putting up, tearing down, and really maintaining this gear. Why not offer it as a solution to a new marketplace that you can use to expand? Now, I will say, in 2019, our installation revenue, our systems integration revenue, it was probably somewhere in the $20,000 a year mark. And make no mistake, we're probably 5 or 6 times that at this point, with the install jobs that started out as small, and they've slowly started getting a little bigger. And it's just like starting a DJ company. You get in with a venue and they see what you can do and the services that you can provide. They start calling you for that next client, or they start giving out your name to other brides or other vendors in your area. It's the same way with the install and systems integration market. You do one job for a customer or for a church, for instance. A lot of those churches in your community, they all talk. And if your name can be at the top of mind when providing a solution to a problem, you're going to be in a good spot at the end of the day. And lastly, but not leastly, this one's probably the furthest one off the wall. And I don't expect any of you guys to do this, but I'm just letting you know, a little open, honest transparency of what I did to make me the most money during the pandemic. You ready? I started a trucking company. Right? It sounds kind of weird. What does that have anything to do with entertainment or DJing or production? It has, there's a little backstory behind it, but the one thing that I was really afraid of is that at such a young age, at 32, new dad, I had put all of my eggs into one basket. So I started thinking, what assets do I have? What can I use that I already own to make me a little bit more money? And then I started looking around at the industries that never slowed down during the pandemic. One of those, as you probably could imagine, is the medical industry. If anything, they were overloaded and overwhelmed. But another industry that never slows down and probably never will slow down is the transportation and logistics industry. And we do a good job of getting gear from one place to another, using our truck, our trailers, our vans, and there's things out there like Uber. I don't want to drive Uber. I don't really care to lend out my personal vehicle to shuffle people around. But every weekend or every weekday, depending on what we're doing, my truck is attached to a trailer hauling equipment or gear somewhere around the state. And I started looking into services like Curry or Roadie that you can use a van. You don't need anything special. You can use your van and haul things from point A to point B. And to be honest, the money wasn't that great. It just wasn't that great. But I've got an uncle who's always been a trucker, and I've always had a fascination for semis and big rigs. So I thought, why not? Why not me, right? I've got a 1-ton dually pickup. I see guys hauling trailers all over the place with freight. So why not start a transportation company? Because there's pretty decent money in it, I'm not gonna lie. But it's something where I can, again, make my own schedule. I'm what you would call a serial entrepreneur. Why not take the assets that I have and are making payments on, a truck payment, trailer payment, stuff like that. Why not take those assets and make them make me money? Just like I did with my office space here. And that turned out to be a pretty lucrative, somewhat investment. I had all of the equipment that I needed, truck, a van, a box truck. We got all that stuff. The only thing I had to make an investment in was a flatbed trailer. And it wasn't too expensive in the grand scheme of things. But at the end of the day, I figured, what if I invest $10,000 to $12,000 via my financial institution? I'm not going to say that I had the cash to just throw out on a whim. But if my financial institution was willing to loan me some money at a really good interest rate, which is why I always say you should have an excellent relationship with your banks, especially if you're in business, because they see you, they see your journey, blah, blah, blah. That's another conversation for another day. But if they were willing to loan me a little money for a trailer, that payment came out to be like $210 a month for 3 or 4 years. It just kind of made sense. The money that you can make in logistics if you're willing to work for it. It's just like any other job, just like any other business. You have to go into it with the mindset of making your business work for you. A wise man once said, if you're working in your job instead of on your job, or if you're working in your business instead of on your business, you don't have a business, you have a job. So I wanted to see if I could make trucking, transportation, logistics, another business, because if anything, I learned during the COVID-19 pandemic that I really needed to diversify my income. When the entertainment industry went down, all of my gigs and all of our income really pretty much came to a screeching halt while these other industries kept moving. The food industry wanted no part of it. Medical industry, I'm not smart enough. But the transportation industry, it's right up my alley. I've been driving a truck with a pickup for a long time. And, it just made sense to me. Now, with that being said, there was an end goal to kind of pivoting my business or opening up another avenue in the logistics department. If you go to any concert, any show, any production of this sort of scale, it takes trucks, trailers, and drivers to get them there. And my thought process was, if I can manage freight across the country, I can probably manage production from city to city. And with the logistics industry, the one golden piece about it is I can hire a driver to come drive for me, and they don't have to be anywhere near me. They can be in California. They can be in New Jersey. I've got a lot of drivers in the southeast region that kind of cover our territory. And some of those guys I've never even met in person. We've had Zoom calls. We've had conference calls. But you can run a background check, and if they've got a good, clean driving history, they can pass a drug test, and they kind of fit what you're going after. They see the vision that you're giving them. Everything can work out well. So I started another business, Crown Entertainment Group. If you look us up on the USDOT, we are registered as a freight broker and a freight carrier. And to be honest with you, it's been a pretty lucrative business. Now, with that being said, again, I don't expect you guys to go out and start a trucking company on a whim. I did, but don't do what I do. Sometimes things don't work out. But 90% of the time, if you're willing to work for it, and you're willing to believe in yourself and invest in yourself and do what it takes to get the job done, good things generally happen. And that's been my story over the past 16, 18 months. Pivoting my business, pivoting my office space, pivoting my ideas and my focus towards what I can do to make returns on my investments that ultimately make my business grow. And that's my story. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. If you want to keep up with my journey and my growth across all these businesses, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. You can also shoot me an email, djwoopig@gmail.com. Once again, I want to thank John Young and the Disc Jockey News for always having me on. Things like this is what's going to grow your businesses, whether you're pivoting into something else or trying to soak up as much knowledge as you can from your peers. John Young and the Disc Jockey News do a great job of providing excellent content for like-minded individuals, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
Well, thank you, DJ Woopig, Johnathan Simmons. Oh my goodness. I got to echo what he said. And this is kind of very similar to what I said with Jeremy. All right. You got ideas. Does not mean you have to do the trucking company like he did. But seriously, no, I mean, the key that we're finding out tonight, obviously there's a lot of great ideas and there's ways that you can take these ideas. I mean, we're creative people, we're supposed to be, right? So take some of these ideas, put your own spin on it, and find a way to truly diversify what's going on.
And I think that it probably is the lesson we took out of 2020 is that we can't be we have to diversify. And Johnathan went to kind of an extreme, and Brandon here is going to, I think, show us another extreme of taking what was there and doing something with it. And I think that's what is really cool. But I just, you get that nostalgia thing that, we didn't have to do that 10 years ago. We didn't have to do that 20 years ago. The most diversity we had to have was maybe we needed bigger speakers, or we needed, more gear so we could handle different events. And
or this type of music for this event and this type of music for that event.
Yeah, precisely. And things have just changed. And we, as business people, need to be thinking as business people and not as DJs. Because sometimes we do. So, yeah. Brandon is ready. I think we might as well just jump right in, and that way we'll get things wrapped up, because after we're done here tonight, DJNTV.com/chill, Howie's going to be doing kind of an after show tonight and talking a little bit about some things, and you guys are all welcome to jump out and join Howie. So, Brandon, if you want to turn your camera back on, my friend, and let's just get you going here.
Sure. Am I back up?
You are back up, and you sound good, so how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Man,
it's been crazy, but good to see you guys again.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. You have been, we've been watching kind of as in the last year, you've been doing a lot of different things. I mean, just about the time we think we have you pigeonholed, and it's like, okay, this is the kind of stuff this guy does.
It all changes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we've been doing quite a bit this past year. I could barely keep up with all the different things, but it's been interesting.
So for those who are meeting Brandon for the first time, Brandon, kind of tell us a little bit about what got you into the industry before we get you started here tonight, because that's kind of a cool little story of most of us didn't start like you did.
Yeah, so I actually, back in high school, I started on the audio engineering side. I always loved like the school plays and that type of stuff. I always liked the idea of being like behind the tech things, but oddly enough, I was never involved with our school plays. I was never involved with like the tech side of things in school, although it always fascinated me. So I like went outside of that, and I started working with local theaters and local event production companies that were kind of out doing it in the real world. And that's actually how I got my foot in the door. And kind of while that was all going on, I started DJing for fun. I was like, oh, this is kind of like a fun hobby if I can do family parties and friend parties here and there. And it started then going to like fundraisers, and then going to friends of friends and friends of family, and starting to get to these other people. And then I kind of realized, wait, I can make like a business out of this. I can do this kind of thing. So that's when I kind of really kicked into becoming like full-time DJ. I was like, this is awesome, whatever. And at the time I was in marching band, I was in jazz band in high school, and I've been playing drums for several years now. So I loved being behind the kid. I was like, maybe I'll be a rock star. I was like that childhood dream to, be up on a concert or whatever. And then reality hit me, and I was like, I can't make money as a musician. Like I got to do something else. So then I started DJing, and then it spiraled to playing percussion along with DJs. So I would play, drums at live events along with weddings and stuff like that. And I didn't really invent that concept. It's been around, especially in our market here in like the tri-state area, for a while now. There's been guys doing it that have gone more marching band technique with it, and, more like salsa guys with it that have, put a fun spin on it. And so I just kind of put my own spin on it, because a lot of the percussionists that have done it in our area are just percussionists. So they're drummers, and they're very talented. They're very good at it, but they're not DJs. I had the DJ background too. So I think that helped me kind of put a different twist on it, because I was very, very aware of all the songs that the DJs were playing. So whenever there was a break in the music, whenever there was a slower part or a higher part or a build up or whatever, I knew that was coming, and I would kind of cater to that with the way I would drum. Rather than it being, a 3-hour drum solo during a wedding. So that was kind of my take on that. That was fun. I still do that actually quite often, almost every weekend this past summer. But at that point, that was kind of like a more for fun thing on the weekends. And I was trying to figure out how to make this industry a full-time business. And when I say this industry, I'm talking more about the events and hospitality side of it, more so than just the wedding industry. And I was trying to figure out a way to make it full-time and make it my career. Because at that point, I wasn't really into anything else. I wasn't, trying to be a doctor or a teacher. None of that really fascinated me. I was really in love with the events and hospitality industry and customer service and branding and kind of everything that goes with the entrepreneur side. And so that's where things started to snowball, because my mind started going on like, okay, how can I make another dollar here? How can I make another dollar there? How can I do this? How can I do that differently than some other people in our area? And so sorry about that. It's my alarm for your show. So that was kind of where things started to really get crazy, because now my mind was turning, and I'm like, okay, if I buy this, I could rent this out. If I get this, I could offer this. If I do this, I could offer this. And so we kind of started to get into more of the event rental stuff, more so than the audio visual side, meaning furniture rentals. We would do dance floor rentals, lighting rentals, a little different than like the moving heads a lot of DJs put out. We would do like bistro lighting. We would do pin spotting on centerpieces, like more of that, I guess, lighting service where we come in and kind of transform a venue with it. And while this was all going on, my whole take on it was offering like a creative event solution. And that's like one of our slogans as a company, is to offer like a unique and creative flair on a lot of the event services that have been around for a while. We weren't coming in trying to reinvent the wheel. We were just trying to put our own spin on it and show why we are unique and why we do what we do, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the history of what took us to, I guess, what I call BC, which is before COVID. And that's where things, like you said, a lot of people were like, okay, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this. And then that's where I started doing totally different things and took the business for a totally different spin.
So now all of this, you started basically, you mentioned you started finding a DJ thing you were doing and became more full-time in that while you were in high school, while you were.
Yeah. So, yeah, I started like halfway through high school is when I guess I started this more professionally or more seriously. And by the end of high school, I was having some conflicts with like marching band performances and jazz band performances and whatever to go DJ these gigs. And my head was at like, okay, I could go perform for free and I love playing drums or whatever, or I could go DJ this party and at the time make $300 or whatever I was charging. And my head as an entrepreneur was always on the money and that kind of side of it. So that's the direction I went. And then I did 2 years of school at a local school here that I commuted to. I started with a concentration in audio, switched to just business, and then got my associates in business, but left there after 2 years because it was getting to the point where I think I was spending more time in the hallways on the phone with clients than I was in the classes. Mm-hmm. And again, the entrepreneur side of me just wanted to be in it. I just wanted to learn everything by doing it, whether that meant the hard way or whatever. I just wanted to go learn and fight my way through this entrepreneurship world rather than have someone open up a textbook and say, this is how you run your business. Because I don't think anyone could tell anyone else how to run their business. When they're an entrepreneur, they want to do things their way. That's why they did it. Otherwise, if they wanted to do it someone else's way, they would go, work for somebody else. So, sure. Yeah, I started very young in my career. And we're still a young company, and I just turned 22 last May. So definitely been an interesting journey. And that's also, I think pushed me more to kind of achieve more, because I've been being told, all these years, like, oh, this kid's not going to do it. This kid's not going to do anything. He's just coming in and charging not enough and blah, 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 and whatever. And all that normal stuff that, people say when somebody new enters the the competition and the market. But I think that pushed me a little more to say, no, I'm not necessarily a kid, and I'm not just doing this for fun. I'm looking to make a career out of this, and I'm trying to do things right.
Yeah. Brandon, we're gonna shut our cameras off so that way you're full screen here, so you can kind of talk a little bit more about how you diversified, especially in 2020, and added more things to your business offerings.
Cool, I appreciate it. So, yeah, as I mentioned, that was kind of the story leading up to where we were BC before COVID, and when COVID hit, I was put in an interesting position, especially being younger. I had just taken on, probably about a year or so before that. I think it was just over a year before that, I had taken on the responsibilities, I guess you could say, of purchasing a warehouse. So when I stopped college after 2 years, I said to my parents, I was like, look, I really want to do this full time. And I think at the time, my brain was fighting itself. I was like, I think if I get an office space where I can go and I put all my hours into this, I think I can get a full-time career out of it and make sense of it, financially and whatever. And part of my brain was like, no, there's no way. Like you're 18 or 17, whatever I was at the time. And the other part of my brain was like, no, like you could do it, get them to agree with you and then go do it and prove everybody wrong. And so I had went with it. And at the time, that was a large investment. It was overhead of like $1,500, $2,000 with utilities a month, which was not justified by any means by the income coming in at the time, DJing, family parties and whatever. And but I did believe that I could do it and make it worth it. And as soon as I did, again, prior to COVID, it was all worth it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I guess the level of respect it gave me in our industry and in our market was higher. These people were like, okay, he's not in a storage unit, like he's taking this seriously. And I think that just naturally brought more business to us, in addition to having a better Google listing and everything else that came with it. When we would tell a client to mail a check to our office rather than my house, that definitely gave us some credibility as well. So it definitely gave us a boost in business, made it all worth it. And then we were booming. We were doing very well, starting to do a lot of bigger events. And I think it was March 7th. I remember the day pretty exactly. And we had a big Jewish event the next day in Brooklyn here. And it was for one of their holidays. It was like 1,000 people going to be there. We were doing sound, staging, lighting, video, everything. And client calls me the night before on my cell phone and says, hey, the venue with this whole coronavirus thing, and I've heard of it before, but like it wasn't a thing yet. And they were like, the venue won't let us have 1,000 people. We're going to have to cancel this. Like, let us know what your refund policies and blah, 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 whatever. They were paid in full by this point. And that was like an oh crap, like, this is real. We got to figure something out, because if this event is shutting down, I know all of our others are. And the next day I got into the office and the phone was just nonstop. Hey, we're canceling. Hey, we're postponing. Hey, we're canceling. Hey, we're postponing. And we lost everything we had on the books that week. By Friday, everything we had, every job folder I had lined up was canceled or postponed till a later date. And so that was tough. And by the end of that week, we were in lockdown here in New York. So we had 2 weeks. No one was really supposed to leave their houses. All essential businesses were allowed to stay open. Non-essential was, supposed to close. Unfortunately, government, doesn't agree with me that we are essential in the DJ and events industry. So shut down for like 2 weeks. And towards the end of those 2 weeks, my mind started going, and I was like, all right, well, I've got this rent that still has to be paid. I've got, bills. And at the time I had one person working for me. I was like, I got payroll I got to meet. I got, my warehouse and my overhead to pay for. And also I'm a entrepreneur and a mover. I want to stay busy and keep doing things. So I was trying to find something to keep me busy and something to keep us busy as a company and that kind of thing. And I went into my office, and at the time we were building DJ front board